Serenity Dark Heart. Um, Today I was gonna do, of course, my topic live stream, for movies and TV reviews, or whatever that I usually do. Uh, and I did have a movie that I was gonna do a topic, or anime. It was an anime because Death Note won out, but I decided to postpone that live stream until Thursday. And today's topic, of course, everybody knows what today is, because 17 years ago was one of the worst attacks on U.S. soil when four planes ended up hitting the North and South Tower of the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, and one that was supposed to go to Washington, D.C., but went down in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Nearly 3,000 people died that day alone because of what happened. And I thought it would be better to just talk about that as a topic instead of the normal topic that I was going to do. Um, I read an article earlier that apparently, I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for this because I know a lot of people aren't really happy with our president right now, but apparently he and Melania went to the memorial at Shanksville today. Yeah, I figured it was better to do this stream um, instead of the topic live stream. Hey, Kizzy. Uh, yeah, I thought it was better to do this live stream instead of the live stream that I had planned. And like I said, apparently President Trump and Melania went to Shanksville today for to the memorial and paid their respects. I know, I sound a little stopped up, and I know the AC is probably running, so it's probably messing up my sound, and I'm sorry. But yeah, apparently, from what I remember, 40 people were on the plane that went down in Shanksville, and then there were a lot of others that died just from the towers being hit and the Pentagon and everybody else that was on the planes alone. I actually remember where I was that day when it happened. I was in middle school. I was homeschooled at the time, but I was in middle school. And I was sitting eating breakfast because it was before I started my schoolwork. And I was eating breakfast. And we had a little TV in the kitchen. And the news report came on that you know how news reports are. It's like, we've just got breaking news that one of the towers of the Trade Center has been hit. So my mom kind of swamped in because she came up to the TV, and then my dad went and turned the bigger TV we had in the living room on. And after I finished my breakfast, I actually went in there and we all three sat and watched it. And then I remember all the rest of the reports coming in about how, like, and then seeing the other tower get hit while they were watching the one tower smoking, or the first tower that had seeing the other tower getting hit, and then all the other reports that come in from the Pentagon, and then, like I said, the plane in Shanksville, and all that. And I mean, for my middle school mind, it was like, how the heck can this happen? Everybody was like, how could all this happen? Like, what the heck? And then President Bush coming on and talking on the TV and talking, and then if I remember correctly, it's like because it's like I remember like I think my dad had it on Fox News because he's a big Fox News nut. I think he had it on Fox News, and they were like sitting there talking, and then suddenly somebody screamed in the background. I said, like, the towers are collapsing. So they went back to the news feed of the towers collapsing. And before that even happened, I remember the footage of people, like, jumping out of the building to, I guess, figured it was a fate. It was a better thing. But who knows what people were thinking that day. But it actually kind of reminded me because I was actually watching Titanic the other night and seeing people jump off the boat, and it actually made me think of the towers, how people were jumping out of the towers, and it was really surreal to actually sit there and watch that and listen to it. And it's like, how could all four of these planes get taken over? How could it end up hitting these buildings, these symbol of America? Like, the towers were the symbol of American ingenuity. The Pentagon was the center of defense and all that. And I actually remember after 9/11 happened, my parents and I went to Washington, D.C. for a family trip, and I got pictures of the hole because this is like about a month or like a couple months or so after 9/11 happened, and the gaping hole was still there at the time, and they were working on the construction, and I ended up getting pictures of that there at my parents' house in storage. But I remember getting pictures of that, and just everywhere we went in Washington D.C. was the whole um, security checks. No matter where we went, even in the Smithsonian and all of that, was the constant security checks because of 9/11. With New York, I ended up getting into a real school and ended up going to New York on my senior trip, and we actually, like, everywhere you went there, it was constant checks, constant metal detectors, basically as if you were going through airports. That's basically what it was. It's like coming out of airport security at LaGuardia. That's a um, airport we came into. And every single place we went, whether it was the ferry to go to Ellis Island, at Ellis Island, I'm surprised they didn't have it at the flippin' theater. We went to go see Phantom of the Opera. I'm surprised they didn't have it at the flippin' theaters. But basically, the bigger things like the Ellis Island, the ferries, and all of that, at all the security checkpoints. Um, we actually went to Ground Zero, and I actually comment earlier on another post, on another video. I remember when we went to Ground Zero, they had it was still a hole in the ground. They hadn't built the whole One World Tower yet. And the fencing was up, so you couldn't really see inside. So we actually had to, if I remember correctly, it was Trump Tower that was right next to it. And we had to, it might not have been Trump Tower, I don't remember. But we did see Trump Tower, but we went up the steps to a building nearby, and we could actually look over the fence and see into the hole and the people that were working down there to. I remember standing there and closing my eyes because we had our tour guide talking to us about like what happened that day. Oh wow. Yeah, it was really surreal for me just actually sitting there and watching it. like I said, our tour guide was talking to us about what happened, kind of reminding us what happened and what they were planning to do for the new Wormwell Tower and all of that. And I remember closing my eyes, and I was getting very shortness of breath. I was like literally holding back tears. Um, and I closed my eyes, and his voice started echoing in my head as the rest of the present day city sounds disappeared. And I started getting the smell of smoke and envisioning envisioning standing there looking up at the towers that were still standing as the smoke was billowing from them after being hit. And in my mind, I could just hear the cries and the fear from the people, not only on the planes, but in the towers themselves as they were trying to find their way out and get down to the lower levels and try to get out of the building. And that made me start crying even more. And just, I could envision all of that just with my eyes closed and hear all that with my eyes closed. And it was really, I don't know, it was a powerful experience for me. And my one of my friends even asked, "It's like, are you okay?" I'm like, I just, I can't breathe. This whole area is just, I feel the somberness here. I feel pain. I feel hurt, anger, all emotions were hitting me at once. And yeah, it was. And like, I was just sitting there. I had to sit down on the steps because it was just so hard for me to breathe. And then we ended up leaving the ground zero site and went to a church, St. Paul's Cathedral, that was nearby. And they even still have signs outside the cathedral of the day it happened and how debris had been spread. And the day it happened, the debris had been spread all in front of the cathedral, on the grounds of the cathedral. And it makes me wonder, like, how many people took refuge in there when the towers were collapsing? How many people were in there while, before the towers even fell? How many people were in there just praying for for the victims, praying for everything that was going on, for God to be so, like, let these people live it out. Why is this happening? And I don't know, that whole experience for me was just really, there are no words to describe it, honestly. It's one of those you had to be there situations. Because the whole time I was also getting flashbacks to the day of actually watching it on TV and all those emotions hitting at once while remembering watching it and hearing a tour guide talk about it and everything. It hit me really hard. And it was like, I know that is nothing compared to the people that actually lived it and saw it happening there in person. No, none of us can ever understand exactly how those people felt while watching the towers collapsing, seeing the towers get hit, like there in person in New York, and then the number of firefighters and law enforcement that was there trying to get the people out, and even the law enforcement and firemen that actually died trying to help them get out. And it's, I actually want to go back to New York just because I know they put up a 9/11 museum now. That was the video I actually commented on, was somebody that actually went to the 9/11 museum, and I actually just, I want to go be there, pay my respects, and see that. Um, but just with the experience I had that day, just looking at Ground Zero, I don't even know if I'd be able to handle doing something like that. But Um, I know every year we have the TVs are like, oh wow, that that is crazy. You say almost, so I'm guessing they got out. Um, which if they did, that's good. I'm glad to hear of a survivor story. Um, and I just, like I said, I don't even know if I'd be able to handle going to that museum just because of how many emotions I felt just looking at Ground Zero. But that is actually like one thing I would love to do. That's a bucket list thing for me to do. Um, is to go to the museum and probably go over to Shanksville and go to that memorial and stuff like that and pay my respects. Is it on? Because I keep seeing every year. I keep seeing all these reports. It's like, oh, could 9/11 have been prevented? Oh, the conspiracy theories about it. And it's like, yes, we shouldn't forget it, but some of the things are getting out of hand, especially because of the conspiracy theories and everything. Oh wow. That's flippin' crazy. To be there for a tour and then have that happen, that's really crazy. I know a lot of people were actually supposed to be at the tower that day or on the planes, and like you hear the celebrities talking about, oh, I was supposed to be on the plane. Oh, but this happened, so I was really lucky to make it out alive, like Seth MacFarlane. Um, Dang. Like I said, I can't imagine being there and seeing it in person. Like I can't imagine being in that person's shoes and walking toward the towers for a tour and then seeing the plane hit. I I literally cannot imagine that. But like I said, you see all these reports and these shows and everything talking about 9/11. It's like, yes, we shouldn't forget it because that was a moment that changed our lives forever. It's a day we should remember because we should remember all the people that died. But a lot of it is going too far and into the ground because of the amount of conspiracy theories about it and everything. And I'm like, now me, I'm a big I love hearing a good conspiracy theory. I'm a conspiracy theory nut. But the amount of conspiracy theories that come out of 9/11, a lot of them just go way too far. It's I feel like I get on the weird side of YouTube when I go to those videos. It's like I'll start off on a video like, oh, these video games were affected by 9/11 and it had to be changed, to a video of recordings from the airplanes, like while it was happening, to recordings of people inside the building, to, oh, this conspiracy theory about it wasn't a plane, it was a bomb, and this, and it's like so many of that stuff on TV and on YouTube, and it's like, this isn't a way we should remember a tragedy. Yeah, there's a possibility it could be a conspiracy theory, but there's also the possibility that it's not. And if it is indeed, if it did indeed happen, then we don't need to crush those people's memories. Yes, it's not as important as respecting the victims. And it's like, as a natural disaster, sorry about the camera flip, but it doesn't need to overshadow the fact of what happened to the victims and the amount of people that died. I actually saw a comment earlier. It said that one of the youngest victims of 9/11 was a 2-year old that was on one of the planes. And it's like, I've got a 4-year-old. I can't imagine my child dying in something like that. And or dying in something so horrific. And like I said, I'm a big conspiracy theory nut. I like listening to conspiracy theories, but then when there's so much compelling evidence that this is an actual event, it actually happened, it's complete and utter disrespect to listen to all of that stuff and then imagine how the people that lost family members and friends in those events feel when they hear conspiracy theories of, oh, these people didn't die, they were taken to some concentration, well, not concentration camp, but they were taken to this facility to live under a secret name and all of that. That's one of the conspiracy theories I heard, was the fact that these people never died and that they were just spirited away by the government to a facility, God knows where, to never have contact with their family and friends again, just to put on an act that all these people died just so we could go to war with Afghanistan. Is like, why the hell would you bring up something like this? It's like, even if you believe that those conspiracy theories are real, imagine like this event happened and you are hurting the people that lost somebody. Like Sandy Hook, back in 2012, I believe, or December 12th. I can't remember actually what year Sandy Hook was. Yeah, I can't even remember what year Sandy Hook was. I think conspiracy theories are slippery slope. You're correct, but Sandy Hook was another big one that they said was a uh, conspiracy theory, that it never happened. Those kids were just taken away, hidden somewhere, away from their families. It's like, again, like I said, I've got a child that's a preschooler right now. And I mean, she wasn't born at the time Sandy Hook happened, but I kept to sit there thinking, like, this is an actual event where not only teachers but children died. And people want to come up and say that these children were just used as a means to like project the ban on gun violence and stuff like that, and so the children were taken away from their parents and hidden just so the politicians could push ban on guns. It's completely stupid. And like I said, going back to 9/11, it's like, oh, because there's conspiracy theories of the fact that, oh, it didn't happen, it didn't die, and then the other side of the conspiracy theory was it wasn't Al Qaeda, it was bombs in the buildings to actually kill the people, for the government to actually kill the people, to make martyrs and victims in a frame up of Al Qaeda. And it's just, yeah, I recently just heard that Alex Jones from InfoWars got banned. I saw that article yesterday. I didn't fully read it, but I do remember seeing the headline for it. And like, he's somebody I actually do. I'll actually just listen to him every once in a while on InfoWars. And I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know. The other conspiracy theorists will come up. Conspiracy theorists will come up and say, "Oh, he's telling the truth," so they're trying to silence him. So it's like I can see their point, but then I can see the other point of they don't want him causing problems because it's hurting the family members of the victims that perished in this tragedy. And it, like I said, it's just, I know I'm rambling and I'm sorry, but it's all getting out of hand. We need to stop the conspiracy theories. If you have a conspiracy theory, keep it to yourself at this point, because for those that, like, for the evidence, it was real. It did happen. Families lost their lives or lost their loved ones. And even if it was some government cover up of people dying, that means people still died. People still lost family members. Just quit. They need to quit forcing this down people's throats where so many people, and we need to just memorialize them, remember them, grieve, yes, but take what happened as an experience and learn from it, or history will be doomed to repeat itself. I know that's cheesy, I know that's overused, but it is true. If you take something like this and then apply it to what's going on now, you can learn from something like this. That means, like, tighter airport security, more background checks, something to prevent something like this from happening again. You can learn from it, like the Titanic disaster. I know I keep going back to Titanic, but after Titanic happened, they did more lifeboat drills. They did more iceberg patrols to make sure the ships didn't get hit by ships that had icebergs again. They trained their officers for maneuvers when dealing with icebergs. They made it a law that you had to have the correct number of lifeboats on the boat, on the ships. So many safety precautions and laws that were started because of that tragedy. And we could do the same thing with with a tragedy like 9/11. Take that, improve, and learn from it, while still remembering the people that perished and memorialize them. Because they were heroes, especially the people that were on the plane in Shanksville. They were real heroes because they overtook the plane and stopped the hijackers from taking it to DC. Which, who knows what they could have done. From what I remember, the target for that plane was the White House, which Bush wasn't even at the White House at the time. But I mean, still, the White House is a big symbol of the presidency and the unity of America, or whatever you want to say. Um, so those people were heroes for stopping the hijackers and making sure the plane didn't get to DC. So it's just, we need to take this experience and learn from it. We need to stop the conspiracy theories, or at least tone down on the conspiracy theories. Because yes, yes, we have freedom of speech. Yeah, but we need to keep in mind. Yeah, it's the One World Trade Center. I haven't really read up much. I would actually love to go visit that too. Um, but we need to we need to take this, learn from it, build upon it. Don't let it cripple us and make things worse. Keep in mind the people that died. Keep memorializing them, just so we can remember and that we never forget them. And I mean, I don't know. I just, like I said, I wanted to post this video instead of my normal live stream because I felt it needed to be said. And like I said, I'm sorry for the rambling, but and I usually get nervous when I get on camera that has the stuttering and stuff, but it's like it's something that was laying on my heart, and the fact that I was actually taking a nap earlier, and I actually had a dream that went back to that moment when I was in New York, and I saw all of that again, and then saw myself sitting and watching the train centers get hit, and I've actually been seeing those videos pop up on YouTube all day. And the other night I was actually, it was background noise, but I was listening to a video that it was the sorry for the yawn, it was the black box, or, well, the communications between the pilots and the people in the control centers and stuff like that. And I remember, and I was like, I was sitting there and even listening to that, because I listened to it up to the point where the hijackers started taking over. And it was right before the planes ended up going into the tower. I had to stop it. I couldn't, honestly couldn't finish listening to it. Just because it was starting to hit me so hard. And sitting there and listening to the fear that they were having, that, and the surety of, they knew what was about to happen, and they knew that they weren't going to make it out. There's nothing they could do. And I don't even know. I don't even know what I would do in a situation like that, because when the brain goes into panic mode, you don't know what to do. It's really hard to think. So, for what those people in Shanksville Plain did, in the midst of all of that panic and fear, was extremely brave. And you can only imagine, like, what the people on the other planes that were heading straight toward the towers felt, and the one that was heading for the Pentagon. That fear of, oh my God, this is it, we're gonna die. And them calling and telling their loved ones that they love them so much and everything. And I literally can't imagine being in that situation and having to call my loved ones and say, I'm not going to make it. I'm on this plane. I'm on the plane that's being hijacked. And I don't know what's going on. They've taken over the plane, and listen to people talking about stuff like that. I'm tearing up now and almost about to cry. It's even thinking about that. It's just, you can't put yourself in that position, like how they felt. I mean, unless you're actually in a situation similar to that. Yeah, and then I saw one video that was, yeah, they're difficult for me too. It was like, like the video I was watching, it was, I think, between a husband and a wife. I think it was I think it was the husband that was on the plane. I can't remember. But they were showing pictures along with it. Like, somebody had gotten, I guess, photos for the news outlets when they were showing, like, pictures of the victims and stuff like that. And they would put them in the video. And it was, while the conversation was going on, they were showing pictures of the two of them together and their family and stuff like that. It's like, this person, like, those children no longer have that parent. That spouse no longer has that support of their other spouse. It's like all those kids knowing that daddy or mommy is never coming home because the bad man took her away or took him away. And I was like I said, with my 4-year-old, it's like I can't imagine being taken away from her. I had, right after she was born, I had a scare of a possibility of having new onset heart disease. And I remember sitting in my hospital room thinking, God, you just gave me this child. Don't take her away. Don't take me away from her now. Please don't do that. Please, why would you give me a child if you were just going to take me away and give me this disease? Thank goodness, like, in the long run, thank goodness I didn't have it. But I just remember that moment of sitting there like, I just became a parent. And I'm going to be taken away from my kid. My child's going to be without her mother. And to sit there and think about those kids, like, having to be the one parent to tell their children that, hey, mommy's not coming home. Daddy's not coming home. Because this happened. Because this happened. But they love you very much. I can't imagine being the one parent that would tell my kid that at all. Or being that kid hearing that from my mom or my dad. Or the fact that they had siblings that probably those planes or worked in the towers or the buildings. And it's like, it's just like extremely difficult to even think about that. Like I said, that's what I said when I was at Ground Zero for my New York senior trip. Yeah, well, that's what I said. Like I said, when I was in New York looking at Ground Zero, and when I would close my eyes and hear the coughing of the people trying to get out of the buildings, hearing the crying of the people like, oh God, we're never gonna get out, or hearing like the I can't see because of the smoke, or even the people on the plane like they've taken over the plane. Oh God, we're never gonna go. Oh, we're not gonna survive, and things like that. And that's like that day when I was there. That's why I basically pretty much collapsed onto the the stairs where we were, because those overwhelming emotions took over. And I was like, I know as hard as I tried to put myself in that situation, I couldn't. All I know is what I felt from the energy and the somberness around me, and the screaming of when the towers fell, like the people that were in the towers when they fell, or one of the jumpers being like, "This is my only way out. It's better than burning up in this." Sorry for the language, damn building. But like, I remember someone reviewing a VR game. It was a VR simulator of being in one of the towers after it got hit. You were on one of the upper floors. If I remember correctly, you were I can't remember which building I hit first, but you were in the second building. You were in the second tower, and you're working, and then you feel the rumble, like, in the game. You're supposed to, like, you can see, like, things shake, and then hear people screaming, said, oh my God, the other tower got hit. And then, yeah, they are. They really are. The Jumping Man photos are terrible. I actually watched the documentary on that, and I was like, I couldn't even make it through that. But I remember the VR game that I was watching being reviewed and played. It was like you're a worker and you just heard that the other tower got hit. So they're trying to, and they're trying to call the uh I guess the head of the building or whatever to see if they needed to start heading down, like see if they need to start evacuating, and then they're being told don't evacuate. There's no need to evacuate. You're gonna be fine. Nothing's gonna happen. And then while they're on the phone with them, while they're on the phone with the people telling them don't move, don't evacuate, and then suddenly the second plane hits. Like I said, I can't remember if you're on the upper level and it hits below you or if it hits above you or what it was. But oh yeah, that's what it was. It hit on the lower level below you, and you actually end up being, it's like you're trying to get out, you're stuck, and the person whose point of view you're seeing it from literally ends up being the one of the people that ended up jumping from the damn building, and it's like, why? Who would make something like this? Why would you make something like this? Why would you make a VR simulator and make the person wearing the VR headset one of the people that jumped from the building thinking it was a better alternative? And I was like, if I remember correctly, that game was brought up on a lot of controversy for being made. But the whole time I'm thinking, why? Why was it made? Why would you make something like that? And me, I suffer from depression and anxiety. And watching that, I literally cried watching that because it was like, because like I said, I had those thoughts of who would make this? Why would they make this? Why would you want to VR be in the point of view of somebody that felt their only option to escape would be jumping from the building? And there's like, I don't think that's the only game out there that's like that. I think there's other games that are like that as well. And I don't know if that one was ever. I don't think it was ever mass produced. I think it was like a thing on Steam, or it was on a website or something. I can't even remember. I'd have to look for it again. But if the video hadn't been taken down, but I mean, even if it was put on one of the bigger platforms, it's like, or if it was put on Steam or something, it's like, if I was Steam, I wouldn't allow something like that to be put on my platform to be sold or played by anybody, because it is so horrifying and disrespectful, and I honestly can't believe somebody would make something like that. Cause it's like, again, you can go back to like how the victims feel, like, I mean the families of the victims feel when all the exposure and the, oh, these people never died, or, oh, look at this, I'm exposing this person that jumped from the friggin' building. I was like, it's not right at all. And 9/11 needs to be a day of remembrance, a day to remember those that lost their lives, not only the people that were on the planes and the buildings, but also the people that tried to help them and save them. Hi, welcome to the live stream. But yeah, we need to use 9/11 as a day of remembrance, a day to remember those that lost their lives, not as a day where we post more conspiracy theories. If we learn nothing else from this tragedy, we learn that life is short and there is no time for hate. That, yeah, that is a very powerful quote right there. That is a very powerful quote. As like I said, 9/11 needs to be used as a day of remembrance to remember those that passed. Not only those in the buildings and the planes, but the firefighters and the law enforcement and those people that tried to help the victims that were inside the buildings. Those that tried to help, like, them get out. And actually, the article I was reading about Trump and Melania going to Shanksville. Apparently, Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders ended up making a quote in the article, and she said, "Certainly, the focus will be on remembering that horrific day and remembering the lives that were lost, and certainly honoring the individuals that were not only lost that day, but also put their lives on the line to help in the process." And I made sure to write that down out of the article so I could have it for the live, for I could have it for this live stream and say that, because I honestly totally agree with that. It should be a day of remembrance. It shouldn't be a day of whose conspiracy theory will beat out who, or hey, look at this new conspiracy theory, or hey, look, we need to overexpose the victims by plastering their faces everywhere and saying, oh, it's the government's fault this happened. Oh, it was Bush's fault this happened. Or, oh, it was this, and this, and this, and this. It's like, this is not a day for that. Yes, put their faces up in memorial. Like, if I had the editing software, I would be probably have a collage of the people or the names of the people scrolling that passed and probably take a moment of them. I know something was going around Facebook this morning saying between the hours of the time they hit to the time the towers collapsed, to stay off of Facebook and have a moment of silence. And honestly, I think that was a very good idea. I do. I wasn't even on Facebook this morning at all. I didn't make any posts. I didn't make any comments. I didn't do anything. I thought that was a pretty good idea to get a community to have a moment of silence for the victims. I think that was a really good idea. That's what this day should be about. And that's like, I know I'm rambling. Like I said, I know I'm rambling, but that's why I wanted to do this live stream instead of the normal live stream I had planned, because that's what I feel. I feel that it is a day of remembrance. It's not a day for the conspiracy theories. It's not a day for all that other junk. And whose fault was it? Who's to blame for what happened? It should just be taken as a day of remembrance, and so we can remember those who died, and we can take the experience and learn from it. That way, nothing this horrific ever happens again. And then we can remember the heroes and remember their sacrifice and their bravery and everything like that. And remember that even in the toughest situations, you can still be brave and can still be a hero, even if it does cost you your life. At least you know you went down a hero and saved more people. I'm pretty sure that's what those people were thinking on the Shanksville plane. They were thinking that, yeah, we know we can't save everybody on this plane, but we know at least we saved the lives of more people in DC. We stop more damage from happening. So you know that even in the toughest situations, you can still come out a hero, even if you do lose your life for it. And that shouldn't stop you. The fear of losing your life shouldn't stop you from being a hero. Especially if you know you're doing the right thing. So, I think I'm gonna. I think I've talked long enough. I've talked for about 50 minutes and 33 seconds. Um, and so I think that's what I think I'm just I'm gonna end the live stream. So thank you for all the service people that helped that day and lost their lives. Praying for all the families today of the victims that lost their lives. All my prayers go out to them, as do many other prayers go out to them. And I hope that this day will be a big day of remembrance for all the victims. And so until next time, this has been Serenity Darkheart, and I will see all you shadows later. Abyssinia.